My name's Keith Woodman. I'm alcoholic in recovery, and it's frankly my privilege and honor to share with you some of the experience I've had in the 12 steps of recovery. I will tell you a little bit about my story, and ultimately we're in this session. I want to get to the 7th step, but to get there, I want to give you a little bit about myself, and then my experience in working the steps. I don't claim to be an expert in the steps of recovery, but I can tell you this: I've learned a lot about how not to do it, and from that, I've learned a lot about how to do it. So this is a little bit of my background. I began drinking in around 15, 16 years old. And drank alcoholically for 21 years. Now that I've got the benefit of perspective and could see what was going on, what was really happening was it was all about ego and pride. And I have this ego that just needed to be the best at everything, needed to be first, have the most. But I didn't have very many talents or attributes that would get me to be first or have the most. So I began drinking, which really was a lie. Lied to myself about who I was and thought other people would believe this lie too. And as long as it was fueled by alcohol, that's the lie that I was living. So I drank this way until I was 37 years old. And my life was just spiraling out of control. And really, through the grace of God, May 22nd, 1982, that was my last drink. I realized I couldn't do this anymore. And I surrendered, essentially took the first step without really knowing what that was, but knew that I couldn't drink anymore. So here's the first mistake that I made. I thought that all I had to do was give up drinking. It'd be like giving up cigarettes, or don't have sugar anymore, or give up soda or something like that. That didn't work. I didn't relapse, but I really, for a period of some time, just white knuckled it and said, I can't drink anymore, so I'm not going to drink. And I didn't. But you know what? Things did not get better. They got worse. Emotionally, relationally, things just went downhill. So I went to see a counselor and explained to her what was going on. And gee, I stopped drinking, but things are getting worse. And she said, well, are you in Alcoholics Anonymous? I said, no, I don't need that. I stopped drinking. And she said in a very loving way, look, if you don't get into a program of recovery and those 12 steps, I can't help you. And you know what? I was kind of at my wit's end. And so even though I was afraid of AA and afraid to get into a program of recovery, and the whole step things kind of scared me, I did it anyways. And at that point, started real recovery. And so first 3 steps I didn't have too much of a problem with. Like I said, I already had pretty much done step 1 just when I surrendered. And 2 and 3 came to believe in a power greater than myself, and that took some time. I did not initially have much of a faith at all, but God called me back, and that faith continues to grow. So now let's get into the steps 4, 5, 6, 7. And this to me was the heart of the problem. My defects led to my drinking. And until I could get myself straightened out, the drinking was going to be a real problem and a real threat, a real possibility to relapse. So I worked out of the 12 and 12, the published book of Alcoholics Anonymous, not the big book, but the 12 and 12, which is a little more detailed on how to do the steps. And the fourth step, where you list all your character defects, that was actually not too difficult for me, because that was just me talking to myself. And I wrote and wrote and wrote. It was, a pretty long list. Then it gets a little harder. Fifth step, I got to take what I wrote and share that with somebody else. And I did that with my sponsor. And I had the good fortune and the blessing of a sponsor that was supportive, understanding. And after all these years, he's still my sponsor, even though he lives in Florida. I live in Holland, Michigan. We're still close. So I got fifth out of the way. Sixth step, and here's where it really gets important. 6 and 7, the real basis of that is I can't fix myself. This takes a power greater than me, and this takes God. And so let's go back to where I had the beginning of the story. Here's this guy with a big ego and a lot of pride that for many years thought incorrectly, hey, I could do anything. I'll just read the book on how to do it, and I'll just stop drinking, and I'll do this, and I'll change this way, and I'll be better. Yeah, really, I will. And you know what? I can't do this by myself. And so what had to happen with me is pride and ego had to give way to humility. And humility is the key. Just like when you surrender in step 1, so too do you surrender in step 6 and 7. Say, God, I can't do this by myself. Can you, God, can you please look at my character, my defects, Lord, and I just ask for your healing and for your touch. You created me, God, and for a purpose, and you built me and wired me in a certain way. And I went the other way and tried to be somebody that I wasn't, and did that with alcohol. Now what I'm asking is restore me to the person that you really intended me to be. And that to me is the essence of the 7th step, where it starts, says, humbly ask God to remove these defects of characters. And humility and humbling, that to me is are the key words. This is the surrender. And you think about it, the whole program of recovery is one of surrender. The booze or the drugs won, right? I lost. I can't do this. I can't drink. I can't do drugs because of, I'm an alcoholic or an addict, whatever. So I give up. But that's, in my experience, was just the beginning of the giving up. Now what I've got to do is I've got to give up on all of these character defects that I'm living with, and I got to give up on the idea that I could take care of these myself. I need God's power. I am helpless to correct myself, but God will show me and deliver me and reshape me in the way that he wanted if I humbly ask him to do that. And so as I did the 7th step, that was a genuine prayer to God, meant it from my heart. Now, I didn't have the expectation that this would be a 100% instant transformation. And I don't know anybody that's done a 7th step that comes out in a matter of minutes, a completely reformed person. These things take time, but I could tell right from the beginning that God was at work. And here's how I know that the 7 steps started to work. And the key to me was in awareness. I would start catching myself, noticing myself, becoming aware of things that I was doing that never bothered me at all before. But now, through the grace of God, he's saying, whoa, that's a defect there. And that's something we need to correct. So part of the growth was the self-awareness, the understanding, and God showing me, this is a problem area, and we got to keep working on that. And the other way that I know that the 7th step is working is kind of the inverse of that. Every once in a while, I'll catch myself doing something right, and it kind of surprises me. Thinking, wow, I never used to be like that before. What happened? Well, it's obvious what happened. God's working in my heart, which is really what a change starts, right? And that is starting to redirect my life and my focus. And so now, for the first time in my life, some of these character defects are starting to wane. But the other part that's really important is, for the first time, I really started to have a much more genuine interest in other people. And, alcoholism, addiction is at its heart a selfish disease. Me, 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 me. I want to feed my ego. I want to feed my dependency with whatever it takes, and never paid much attention to anybody that might get hurt or be bothered or whatever, because I was focused on myself. And what God showed me as the 6th and 7th steps started to unfold and started to become real is I started to develop a real care for other people. This was the transformation. And, this too is a key part of the program. This is the part of the program where, I'm interested in my sobriety, but you know what? I'm real interested in your sobriety. And how could I help you? And here is the interesting part. There's a lot of paradoxes in the program, but this is one of the key ones. The more that I could help others to achieve sobriety, the more confident I become in my own sobriety. That's just the way it works. That's totally a God thing. Where else in worldly affairs do you get more by giving it away, right? This is what happens. And again, this is part of the character development that the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th steps are all about. So another point I want to make is 4, 5, 6, and 7 are not like one and done steps. What I've learned is when I did the 4th step, that was I saw myself at that time some years ago. I could do another 4th step and have done them on different occasions in my sobriety. And as you go back and do that personal inventory again, more is revealed, as some of those character defects, as the big ones, the obvious ones, you got the first time. As you grow in a program, as you mature, as your character develops, go back and look at yourself again. And I say, wow, some of the things that weren't so obvious, they're real obvious now. And so kind of an iterative process, and just one of continuous growth. And you know what? We're never going to get perfect. We're not going to become saints in this. But as long as we're honestly looking at ourselves, honestly asking God for his leading, for his change, not just of character, but of my heart, then you really become more of the person that God really intended you to be. And that to me is what the program of recovery is all about. So again, from where I started in the program, even before I was in the program, thinking, well, all I got to do is give up drinking and everything will be fine. That's not the way it works. It's much more challenging than that. I got to change the core of who I am, which I cannot do by myself. I got to ask God into my heart. I got to ask Jesus into my heart. Shape me, mold me, make me the person that you would want to be. Help me get rid of those things that I know are not right, that must grieve the Lord. Take these from me and just shape me and make me into the kind of person that you would have me be. And this is a daily thing. Like I said, this is not some sort of chemical transformation and all of a sudden we're changed into something altogether new. We are, but it's in the heart, and it takes time and it takes growth. And so I try to talk to God every day and just say, show me what you would have me do. Help me be the kind of person you would have me be. Show me how I could serve others, bring others, open my eyes to whom I can help and who I could serve. And just show me, Lord, and shape me and make me into the kind of person that you could be. Yeah, I want to be sober and I don't want to drink again. But way beyond that, I want to have a purpose that is of use and benefit to others. And that to me is what steps 4, 5, 6, and 7 have led me to be. So listen, I just wish all of you just the blessings of this program and a program of recovery. What I always share with people, if you are still active, still using, still drinking, I can tell you from personal experience, it doesn't have to be that way. There's a better way. It takes some work. The payback is incredible. It's a life that I never dreamed was possible. And it is a gift of God and His grace and His mercy that took me from that life, 21 years of drinking, and now 38 years of sobriety and continued growth. And I just give Him thanks every day. And again, my prayer is that you too will find this road to recovery, this growth, the relationship with Jesus that will change your life. And you never have to look back at the way it was, but only forward to the kind of person that God always intended you to be. So again, God's blessing, God's grace upon you, and thank you so much for your attention and hearing me today.